Hi, Roy here on my channel Roy Reads Anything, which is a booktube channel talking about stuff I've read and related things. And one thing I'm doing is a sort of read what you own challenge. Well, it is the read what you own challenge as devised by the hosts I've listed down below. Mine's quite elongated, planning on spending a year doing it, and I'm trying to do it with no stress, so no pressure to quickly read lots of things. But I did, in the closing minutes of ordinary time, when you're allowed to buy books, buy a bunch of things for my Kindle. And in fact, it was such a frantic slalom through Kindle land that I can't even remember entirely what I've got. So I thought it might be fun for me to go in cold, look at what's in the Kindle here, and also do a bit of archaeological delving back to stuff I might have bought ages ago. Again, you know, they're very good at lulling you into a sort of a trance of 99p press. Kindle Unlimited press, so you get all these things and they haven't necessarily registered in one's conscious mind as to what they are or why you wanted them. So, yes, let's have a look. One thing Kindle isn't that good at is getting to the blurb of the book without a lot of palaver. So I'm going to just look at the covers and titles and try and decode what they actually are. So I've got Necrot Town by Alexander Nader. Looks good. Mountain City Chronicles. I believe this is going to be horror. I believe it might be something to do with the sort of occult detective type stuff a bunch of us were looking at back in October. So, yep, looks promising. I've been thinking how to do read what you own, and although I don't want to sort of set a TBR specifically of a huge list of books in some sort of order, I was thinking for each month trying to have a type of, like, say, in a given month, I would roughly try and read a Kindle book, a new physical book, a vintage physical book, say, to sort of spread things around, bearing in mind that there might be events and stuff to do as well. Yeah, so it's good to have lots of different choices. Legends 2. Stories in honour of David Gemmell. Well, I can see why I got that, because I love David Gemmell, British fantasy writer, dead now, unfortunately. Really like his Druce the Legend series, and I've pretty much read everything he's written. So stories in honour of David Gemmell. Be interesting to see if it's using his characters, or if it's basically just a bunch of stories in his kind of vein of sort of hard-edged sword and sorcery. He was before the whole grimdark thing, but they're they're great. I really recommend David Gemmell. Legend is probably the one to start with if you're looking at him. Then I seem to have 4 books by a guy called John Gwynne. I think this came out of a discussion with somebody on BookTube. Like the David Gemmell book, the cover is a one weapon, which seems to be the symbol of fantasy these days, is like a sword hilt or an axe or something. So here you get sword, axe, spear, hammer. But they're not called that. They're called Malice, Valor, Ruin, and Wrath. Now, I don't know off the top of my head if these are historicals or fantasy or historical fantasy. There's a quote from Con Iggulden on the first one, which sort of suggests they might be historical adventures. I'm guessing there's warfare. Otherwise, whoever the guy is who just sits there painting weapons must be like, I'm making out like a bandit. Everybody wants the weapons.
This year.
This year, yeah.
You're done for.
Agents of Dreamland. Caitlin R. Kiernan. No idea what that's about. If I had to guess, because H.P. Lovecraft has a Dreamland in his kind of universe, is it something to do with that? We will see. Starkly visual, tongue-in-cheek, and disturbingly visceral. This is what I know. So I'm intrigued. Something must have made me want to get it. So let's see. Let's see where that leads us. Okay. What else have you got, Mr. Kindle? Ignoring samples, audibles. Oh yes, I got a bunch of L.J. Ross crime books. So L.J. Ross is a British crime writer based in the northeast of England, and when we were on holiday recently in that area, saw, as one tends to in that part of the world, huge row of L.J. Ross physical books in a bookshop.
There are many fine bookshops in that area.
Well, that's true. Yes, lots of good independent bookshops which we tend to go to. So got fed up looking at these L.J. Ross books and wondering what they were like. So I bought the first one and read it and really liked it. And now I got the next 4 in Kindle Unlimited. Because they were there, because I wanted to max out my Kindle Unlimited allowance and then read them through the read what you own period. Interestingly, looks like number 2, Sycamore Gap, is been in the news because Brits will probably know this, but that tree was cut down by vandals and people have been arrested and stuff. So
it's a particular part of Hadrian's Wall where 2 hills converge in a dip, and the sycamore was the only tree in the landscape, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's a real landmark and a beloved thing. So in the world of trees,
and it is no more.
Yes. So
someone's bum.
Well, yes. Anyway, so yes, bizarrely, there's a real crime there. One day, I'd like to be literally in the place that she writes about while I read the book. But
I'm sure we can manage that.
Yeah. What else? The Ember Blade by Chris Wooding. That's part 2 of a fantasy series. So good stuff. Red Rising, Pierce Brown.
Ooh,
is that one of yours?
I've already got that. They're great. I love them. There's an initial first 3, and then there's another 3 that I haven't read yet because I enjoyed the first 3 so much I don't dare read the next 3 in case they're a disappointment. It's, I don't know if it's YA or post YA. Multiplanetary, interplanetary, warfare and revolution. And it was very, 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 very good.
Excellent. Okay.
I thought.
Right. I seem to have not 1 but 2 elementary novelizations.
What do you mean you seem to have?
Well, seemed like a good idea at the time. I mean, we've just recently watched all of Elementary, the show with Johnny Lee Miller and Lucy Liu as a Holmes and Watson in the present day. I guess I'm curious as to what novelizations can be like. So we will see.
Yes.
Just do a couple more. Bela Lugosi, The Monogram Mythology, a collection of stories based on Bela Lugosi's work for Monogram Studios. So, and this I had completely forgotten about, but apparently Bela Lugosi, having made the legendary Dracula movie in 1931, by the early 40s was reduced to working for a Poverty Row studio called Monogram. Made 9 movies that are basically short B movies, but they've got a sort of cult following, and people have now find sort of hidden depths in them. And so there's 9 of them. They're called the Monogram 9, which sounds like a hill walking challenge or a pub crawl like the Batham's 8. So there are all these movies. I've only watched one of them so far, and obviously I'll watch the movies first. So this appears to be fiction stories based on the characters in those B movies, which is a little bit of a niche, but sounds like fun. Good. So I'll just do a quick dramatic whiz down. The Philosopher Kings by Joe Walton. That's later on in a series I've already started reading. Yeah.
Is she the one with the
yes.
interest in mufflers?
No, that's Connie Willis.
That's Connie Willis. Yeah.
Joe Walton wrote a alternative history book called Farthing, I think.
Yes.
The sort of run up to
I read
sort of growth of fascism kind of thing.
There was a series of them each named after a small denominational British coin.
Yes.
I think it was farthing, halfpenny, and penny.
That's the sort of thing.
Yeah.
What's a halfpenny?
Halfpenny.
That's better.
I've forgotten how to speak the old tongue.
This series is in science fiction world.
Yes.
Somebody recreates Plato's Republic, and they have the power to like resurrect people, and I think gods as well. So it's like, it's a bit of a what if Plato's Republic was real? Would it work? Socrates is wandering about. This is the sort of stuff I remember about it. When, how, what, why?
Curse you, Amazon!
It's The Green Man's Heir by Juliet McKenna. Is that one of yours?
Yes. They were. The first one was quite good. British supernatural detective-y thingy-bobbly man who, it was good. I liked it. The second one was dire.
Oh, okay.
And I chucked it. I might actually have struggled through to the end because I'm stupid. But it was such a disappointment. Such a disappointment.
Okay, well, with that build-up, see, I don't know now. Do I read it to enjoy the first good one, or do I think, oh well, it's not going to go anywhere, so I won't even start?
So many books, mate. You might as well not bother with that.
Great industrial amounts of Lindsay Davis, Roman crime books.
Those are all mine, I think.
They are.
You don't like it, do you?
I enjoyed the first few, but then it just seemed to be him bickering with his wife.
Well, the later ones are about his daughter. So
okay.
You get her bickering with her boyfriend instead, if that sells them to you.
Fair enough. Right, so I have Kindle. It has lots of things on it. That's part of Read What You Own. I don't really do Goodreads, so I'm keeping track of it on a spreadsheet. I'm also keeping track of anything else I might read, because there are some exceptions. So, for instance, I read a book just now by a fellow booktuber, which I would allow, but it doesn't count towards the total of the 100 books I'm planning to read. Everybody has that exception, books by booktubers.
Do that.
And then if I buy books and there's an excuse, like I just bought a gardening book, for instance, so I'm inventing the excuse of it being practical household material rather than a book in the sense we mean in Read What You Own. And I bought some extra editions of a book I already have. Jack Kerouac's on the road, and that's more of a collecting thing. So we'll see. I mean, I make no bones about the fact I've got loads of workarounds and excuses, and this is how I'm oiling the wheels of the whole thing. So although I'm not buying new books, I haven't bought old books or anything, apart from those Jack Kerouac ones. Yes, so we'll see how it all adds up when I get to the end of the year, or 100 books, whichever comes first. Okay, so that's my Kindle world of Read What You Own. Back soon with something else.
Well, before we go.
Yes.
Speaking of someone who's coming up to the end of a Read What You Own, New Year's resolution.
Right.
Resolution this year was not to buy any more books. How do you find the time to read 100 books plus all the other stuff that you read? Because I've only managed to get through. It will be about 75 by the end of the year, but I've got no side projects apart from poetry. Which doesn't count really.
Well, I might not, which is why I'm saying it's a year or 100 books.
You do seem to read. Is that why every time I wake up in the night,
I've got two eyes.
You're sitting there reading. Do you ever sleep?
That's the trade-off. Yeah, I just read the blurbs and pretend I've read the book. I look at the cover, say, "Yep, this was a book about a giant axe." And the sequel's about a giant spear. Right.
Oh, I do love you.
Let's stop that. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Let's have more of that sort of thing in this sad